right, welcome back. We're here. We're talking about anime. A season ended recently, and we're here to give our thoughts on the spring 2024 season. It was rather tumultuous in our lives, so we don't actually, well, everyone that's not Tim. Tim has plenty to talk about, but the rest of us don't have as many shows that we're gonna actually be covering this time, just because we didn't end up watching as many as I think we originally committed to. I didn't, at least for sure. But there are a couple of shows at least that I'm very excited to talk about. So
I think I committed to like 15 shows and I ended up watching like 10 shows.
yeah, I think I'm at about 10 as well.
And yet I still feel like I've seen so much.
That is what happens when you shove a lot of it down your own throat in the past couple of days. So
yeah.
All right. I think we're just good to start. And I think we're starting off really strong this time with one of the highlights that just wrapped up this season. Let's talk about Dungeon Meshi.
Well, real quick, right before we start, this is the review episode, so there will be heavy spoilers for pretty much everything here.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers for every anime we cover. We're probably not going to spoil anything that happens in manga adaptations later on, obviously.
No. This is like
just what's aired.
Anime.
What is aired as of spring of 2024. But we will be pretty merciless. So enter at your own risk.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dungeon Meshi though.
Does anyone have any fun thoughts before I talk about it?
Yeah, before Chris just gushes for the next 10 minutes about it.
I mean, we all like it. It's not like it's just me.
Oh no, Dungeon Meshi is great.
I think we all liked it. I think I was a little bit colder on it than the rest of you guys, simply just because I feel like after the dragon episode and all this, the shit got got real. It felt like the author opened Pandora's box, and then they went straight back for we'll just do our normal dungeon slice of life eating thing for 5 episodes, and I just had a hard time readjusting from escalating to this high stake to going back to let's just go back on our normal journey.
I mean, they're not going back on their normal journey though. A lot of things happened, and it's also the way that they were introducing Itsuzumi to the cast.
After she went away, they kind of went back to we'll just explore the dungeon again because we don't have anything else to do.
It's not because they don't have anything else to do. It's an explicit decision they made.
Background, but it just felt like the tone kind of went back to more like a lighthearted thing, where it felt like they just opened those box where things escalated, things got real, and then they try to not way with wood, but the tone kind of felt like it was weird to me, where it was less.
I think it maintains this different tone pretty much for the rest of the time. I agree that the format goes a little bit back to the monster of the week and the dish of the week. That's just kind of how Dungeon Meshi operates, and I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. But also some of the best episodes are there. I don't know. To each their
I wouldn't
own.
call it a bad thing either. I just think it was just hard for me to adjust my.
I have great news, which is that we have reached the end of that, and as of where we are in the manga right now, and basically that never happens again for the rest of it. So season 2 will be completely different.
The PV for the second season seems like shit gets real.
Season 2 is literally.
We already got a PV?
I don't want to. Yeah.
Well, the announcement PV where they announced second season, they showed some footage.
And again, I don't want to spend our review talking about the next season of a show, but next season is going to be literally all gas, no breaks the entire time. It's going to be pretty high octane for the rest of the show. But still, this is our review. This covers everything. So from the beginning, I for one have found this to be a delightful adaptation by one of the best studios around. I think it's one of Trigger's more grounded shows, but at the same time, I think that they are bringing just the perfect amount of Trigger wackiness to this adaptation, and I basically have no complaints. I mean, I still think the manga is absolutely worth reading because I think it's one of the greatest, one of the best mangas I've read, at least recently. One of my personal favorites, and I think Koei is a masterclass artist and storyteller, so I would still recommend reading it. But I think this is a delightful way to experience this story and cast of characters as well.
So, we mentioned Studio Trigger. When I first heard the announcement of Studio Trigger adapting this, I was expecting a lot more Triggerisms, and they are there, very sprinkled throughout. And at first, I'm I want this to be more Trigger, but then over time, I accepted no, the source material is great, the Trigger does not need to do the triggerisms to like elevate it.
Yeah.
That being said, though, whenever the like trigger animation popped off, like I'm like, oh, I am loving this shit. Like the water wraith. I can't remember what it was actually called.
Oh, the water spirit.
Undine.
The Undine.
The
Undine,
the Undine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That fight that was completely triggered, and I love that.
The last fight with the gargoyles was also very, very well. It's a more recent example, but that was very wacky and triggered as well. I just think it is able to elevate some of the sillier moments and like play up some of the comedy that's already there and present. Because I think Meshi is very funny when it wants to be. It's always had a great sense of humor, and I think it plays really well with that.
Yeah.
Without really losing any of the oomph for the serious storytelling that it is able to do when it wants to as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised about how well Trigger handled the studio. Because for me, Trigger in my mind is still very much the like robot. We got taking things to space, wacky studio. And even like with Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I was like cautiously like skeptical of how Trigger's gonna do a grittier series, and they nailed that one out of the park. And I think they, like Chris said, they really did a good job with Dungeon Meshi at keeping the comedic wackiness, elevating that, but also like going hard on the action when it did.
Yeah, this
like,
is
I think
probably the
Mimic
most
scene was like the
premier.
first time that I was like, oh yeah, Trigger's like going hard with the animation as well.
I was gonna say it's probably their most premiere and like classy show so far. But it's just because they picked a good manga to adapt, and they are clearly huge fans of it. Very lovingly brought to life, so that is always. I love it when a studio gets a manga they are like clearly super into.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And get to adapt it. So, Logan, do you have any thoughts? Any prayers?
My thought is that I am willing to accept this as an apology for the state of fantasy anime over like the last like 10 years.
Byron just finished. Come on.
Yes, and that's also another very good fantasy anime. Name a third one.
I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, because we're gonna talk about Konosuba.
I was gonna say he's.
I'm not being literal, but I am. But I am saying that. I am saying that for a genre that feels like it's been mired in cliche for a very long time, I appreciate that this is kind of pulling itself out of, you know, the Dragon Quest ghetto, so to speak, and you know, doing something interesting with its world building that's not just like Mao-sama.
Yeah, we don't have to be video games. It's okay, guys.
Exactly, and that's wonderful. And the world building in this manga and in the adaptation too is really wonderful. It seems generally very well thought out.
It is,
which
maybe
is
the best.
something that I really appreciate.
I'm sure we'll get more of it later on, but I really didn't feel that much like outside the dungeon world building. Like I'm sure once the elves get more involved, or like we
I was gonna say we're right
next,
about to get into some more of it.
like,
yeah.
I did really love the dungeon like lore building about like, because that's the first thing that caught to me was like how well thought out the dungeon like mechanics works and how it will like sustain itself, and you know like the small things like how the traps replenish itself, or like how to cook.
It does.
Tempura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, it does something as cliche as like having a capital D dungeon that is a dungeon that works under like video game-ish logic, like separate logic from the rest of the world. But I think it does so with like it thinks through a lot of different aspects of what would have to be true to allow a space like that to exist in the world, and what, you know, effect that would have on the rest of the world in a way that a lot of these anime really do not.
Yeah, Kui's able to juggle that while also creating what is, in my opinion, one of the greatest ensemble casts of all time, in which a truly shocking number of characters, even those with limited screen time, are able to be fleshed out pretty efficiently, while still giving plenty of attention to the core cast. At like, that's just she's too good. She can't be stopped. I'd love to see if she ever makes anything else, but honestly, this is like a magnum opus already, so yeah, whatever.
Maybe in a couple of years.
Exactly, and not to. I was gonna say this earlier when we were talking about like good fantasy adaptations. I've been reading Witch Hat Atelier, and that's getting a adaptation next year. So the fantasy anime
so
train
excited
continues,
for that.
dude.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that later, or maybe we talk about it when the season preview finally starts. But that manga's phenomenal, and I've been really thoroughly enjoying it. So excited because that's the studio that did Zom 100. Yeah, the new one.
So
Mhm. So,
the
anyway,
new one.
yeah, because they
It's only been one.
that's what I meant. The new studio. They started a new studio to do Zom, and then this is their second project. Anyway, we're on a tangent. So we all love Dungeon Meshi. I think we're all genuine. Like, this is just one of our favorite shows collectively. I'm pretty sure we can all firmly say that. And you should have watched it already if you haven't by now. I can't believe anyone listening to this anime podcast is not at least familiar with it. But if you somehow missed this, go watch it. I would show this to anybody. Like, I would show this to my mom, and she would probably like it. It's one of those types of shows.
I think my only complaint right now, and like I'm sure it's gonna get better. Like once you actually like see it, is when Itazumi. She is not a great character still right now. Like we've still like we were just introduced to her like in like episode 16 or something, so we only got like 6-8 episodes of her. She's still not great. Like I want to know what the hype is about her.
Oh,
She's apparently part of the core cast from here on out.
Yeah.
So like we'll probably
she never goes
get
away.
a lot more screen time development with her later.
In my defense of Itazumi, I already loved her by the time the anime, or from what the anime has shown. So maybe it's just a person-to-person thing, but also there's plenty more. Don't worry.
She's a cat and she's mean. What's the problem? I don't
Chris
understand your concerns.
Talking about how well-rounded all the cast in the show is, but I'm not really feeling that quite yet with like the non-core cast members. Like with all the semi group guy and also the
certain characters get more than others, but I just mean that they don't feel empty, and none of them feel like placeholder characters. They all have a personality. Not everyone's going to get development because it's, there's limited time. So like not all of like Shiro's groupies are going to get a ton of development. Like Toda, or what, the ogre girl got a little bit, and she's great and we love her. And like not all of Kaburu's groupies are gonna get some. Though if you read the manga, she does these little side chapters that actually do a lot of that too, which I highly recommend. So like characters like Mikbel and the kobold, whose name I'm forgetting, are great, and we don't get nearly enough of them. Anyway, we could tangent off on this forever, but the characters that matter, so like Kaburu and Shiro and the dwarf lady whose name I forgot. And Mithroon, who you haven't gotten very much screen time, but you're about to get a lot. Very excited about that. So, yeah.
Yeah, like my complaint is literally just like, I want more. Give me more.
So.
There's no date for it for season 2 yet, right?
For it
yet.
but
like we just know it's from production.
I would expect
like late
winter
2025.
Winter or spring 2025. I don't think they'll make us wait that long.
Winter or spring sounds about right. But they also are working on.
I mean, it's Trigger.
Too.
Like Trigger takes their time making stuff.
Well, ideally, they're I think different teams were working on panning and stocking than this. I think that the Ibaishi's team.
I mean, yeah, we still don't have a date for panning and stocking either.
Yeah.
They're predicting 2025 as well for panning and stocking.
Yeah. Okay. We spent too much time on this. We all like Dungeon Meshi.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll go watch Dungeon Meshi if you like anime.
Yeah, it's one of those that you should probably watch. Okay, next up is Girls Band Cry. Really starting off really hot at the beginning.
Yeah, we're starting extremely hot.
Does anyone else want to talk about this?
Girls Band Cry. I think that its best material is mostly at the beginning. Not that it gets bad, just that it kind of gets worse. I think especially the last arc felt a little fillery. I stand by pretty much everything I said in the beginning, though, that the animation, kind of once you take a second to get used to it, looks very nice. And there's a lot of visual flair. There is not as much in the back half as I would have liked, but it is still there. Yeah, I think it's got some fairly strong characters, even though in the back half, my main complaint with it is that it does feel like it's kind of spinning its wheels, running through the same conflict over and over again between Nina and the other girl whose name I
Momoka.
don't remember. Momoka, yeah. Or it just kind of feels like that she's Nina's like, he hates his diamond dust, and Momoka's like, I don't care. And then they kind of do that exact scene like 15 times, it feels like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still would really love to see a continuation of this, and I would recommend it to anybody who likes music anime. Just don't expect it to stay as good as it starts, you know?
I actually basically completely agree with Logan. I think I'm a little slightly less harsh, but I do agree that the last like 2 episodes are kind of weak, and they kind of, I think it does a fine job of going through like the backstory with the bullying for Nina and finishing that arc out. But aside from that, they're sort of, they get signed, and then they have the Battle of the Bands thing fail, and then they like unsign.
That whole arc was incredibly messy.
It just felt a little
like,
redundant, and like, well, what was the point of all of that? And then the show just kind of ends. And it also, and this is a little more subjective, I think the last song they did for the performance pieces is one of the weaker ones in the show too. So it all just kind of ends on a little bit less of a high note. Whereas if you go back even just 2 or 3 episodes to like episodes like 9 and 10, I think that was such a great highlight of the show. So I don't know, your mileage may vary. I still, like I said, I'm going to echo, I think all of the performance scenes are phenomenal. Like some of the best CG music scenes I've ever seen in anime. The direction is really cool. They, like, honestly, just go watch a music video from this show if you haven't seen it yet. That's why I watched it, is I found one of their music videos and I was like, oh, holy shit, this looks so good. And I like the music as well. Otherwise, I think that, like, despite all of our minor criticisms, that I think this is a great cast. The writing is really snappy and funny and like quick-witted. I really enjoyed watching them banter with each other. I think Nina's a good main character. I like the conflict before it got repetitive, like Logan said. Like I said, that climax in episode 8 or 9, whichever one that she confesses her love to her or whatever, was very, very good. Rup is the best. That's I will not be taking any question.
I never really had any issues with the animation. I thought it was a very fun and creative way to use CGI and take advantage of the medium.
I thought this show looked good in the beginning. I don't know if that was implied.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people were like on the fence about it because CGI. I think the show was always very messy as far as like the conflicts and the characters and the relationships, and that was always very messy, and it was like a perk for the show, but like it didn't know where to go with its like conflicts and mess, so it kind of just like spiral and repeat, like Logan said, and it kind of like got a little like dry after a while, and it kind of lessened my enjoyment. And I do agree that like that whole like signing record arc was completely redundant. I kind of almost wish it didn't exist because it really did not add anything to the show. But I think it still is a cool thing, and I think it's definitely still worth watching despite, you know, with all its ups and downs. I think at the very end of the day, it's still,
I'm still giving this
project
highly recommended.
Worthwhile.
I'm still like,
I would go highly recommended. I would do recommend.
I
sure,
still
but
think
not
it's
like
one of the best shows of the season. I still think it's worth watching. I'm gonna just give it a recommendation on its creativity and its like unique sense of style and visuals alone.
Yeah, I was about to like come in like, I can't believe like I'm the hottest on this show, because this was
I give
probably
it a
like
9.
I figured me and you were like, we were really vibing with the show, because like the first off, the CG looks incredible. Like this is 100% a step in the right direction for CG. Like more CG anime should be looking like this.
Yeah.
Like they should be taking notes on the facial animation, especially. Like, and like the whole music, the music in this show is like some of the best in like any music show.
Yeah, I really liked I've liked all the songs that they put out.
That's what happens when, you know, you start from the ground up making a music show.
Yeah.
Instead of like taking other music from other places. If you guys like this, then I do think I want to recommend you guys go back and give the Bang Dream might
Yeah,
go
Bang
try.
Dream.
It's
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
getting us into Idolmaster.
This is at least
No,
no.
it's
Bang Dream
It's
is
a
completely
completely
different
different
Oh,
franchise.
it's okay.
Yeah.
it's still it's the same like kind of basic core concept where it's just like dysfunctional kind of messy group of girls that kind of come together to start a band. Obviously CGI is like a step down because like it's hard to top this one, but at least for that one it does like come to a much nicer like conclusive resolution. And it knows where to take its like messy drama and conflicts. So I think that one's definitely worth trying if you guys like the Ghost Band Cry.
Yeah. I think from what I heard is that like they wanted to make a season 2, but they weren't sure if they were gonna get it. So I think they like kind of like rushed that last arc.
I
think that's what I heard.
don't know, we'll see. And also, I think the band's on hiatus right now, so we probably won't get a season 2 for
Yeah,
a long time.
Which is tragic. I really wish, even if we don't get season 2, I was hoping they would just like make some more music, but that's okay. I think it's still, it was a really neat project. Like all the VAs are new. I hope that they do more things because I think they all were quite talented and did a good job.
Oh, especially Nina's.
Yeah.
God damn. That is some of the angriest performance I've ever heard.
Yeah. So I this was a really big surprise hit for this season.
As much as we're like praising this and like saying like, oh, you should watch this, it is not available legally anywhere.
Yeah, it still hasn't come out
In English at least.
Unless you're in Southeast Asia, then it is.
Sorry, in the United States. I think it's available in France too.
And France too,
Yeah.
yes. France is up.
So, Toei, please release a legal version.
What a weird choice. Like, especially for
literally
like
everything else, like in the anime
I don't
chart
want
is
to
getting
scroll.
adapted.
I don't want to
or-
scroll down the dog shit that is airing right now in summer and in spring that is getting like English adaptations, and then something this good got missed. It's super weird.
And it's by Toei Animation too, like a major studio.
I don't know what was up with that. Hopefully it still managed to get a pretty big Western fan base despite that, and despite it being something that you kind of had to steal. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, Girls Band Cry.
Hopefully it gets dropped on like Netflix or Amazon or something.
I feel like it'll get brought over somewhere at some point.
The sooner the better.
Yeah, just so you can recommend it to people that are less familiar with, torrenting.
Yeah.
All right.
You can't use that word here, Chris.
Yeah.
One Piece.
Beep. Okay.
Yeah, just censor yourself.
Make a note for it.
All right, Tim, tell us about this romance that none of us watched.
I watched the first 3 episodes of this.
Okay. Want to watch some of it.
But I was very like on the edge of it. The name of this anime that we're talking about is Hananoi-kun to Koi no Yamai. I do not have the English name.
It's a condition called love.
Thank you.
My opinion hasn't changed too much from the mid-season. It was like an untraditional high school women's show, which is like that alone is kind of a breath of fresh air from like the mountain and seas of other high school romances. People had some complaints about it because it like teetered the line of like borderline like possessive / toxic at times, but ultimately it ended on a very sweet note. I think a lot of that has to do with the adaptation rushing through things and not letting the character like breathe and develop and to know him more, and they just kind of focus on all of the like yikes moments instead of like us getting to know like the main character a bit more. Or at the end of the day, I think one was fine as rapid as is. Unless you're looking for like a romance show that's like a little bit different from what you see every other day, then there wasn't anything too special in this one where I'm like, oh, you should definitely watch it. But it was cute, and yeah, I liked it.
Okay, so like the whole show is that like the guy's like kind of like borderline obsessive to like anyone he's attracted to, right?
Well, no, only to her.
Well, no,
He
because
wasn't-
like the whole reason why he gets broken up with often is because of his obsessive personality. So like, do they like address that and like?
They address. I don't think he was obsessive with the other girls. I think he was just like cold to them, and they were like, "What's wrong with you?" They like address why he liked the girl so much because they have like history together in the past that she.
Oh,
like,
they
didn't
did.
remember. So like that's
Interesting.
why it kind of ends on a sweet note, because they go through this kind of like bittersweet, kind of nice romance thing. So, but yeah, I don't think he was like that with the other girls though.
No? Okay.
I think he was just like aloof to them, and they were like, "You're not what I expected. You were just like a hot guy."
That makes
but you're
sense.
Kind of weird on the inside.
Okay. But yeah, so it's just like a nice little romance. Not necessarily off kilter, but like a little different from the usual romance.
Yeah, and like I said, he does come off a bit weird and possessive, and the show does not do a good job addressing that, because they kind of really rushed to that whole like confession backstory scene, so they skipped a lot of screen time with him with other characters where he like kind of warms up to him a bit more, and they focus it mostly on him and her when he's like, weird too. So that's why it doesn't look super great on him, but adaptation problems.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you want to move on to Hibike?
Yeah, let's
Yes,
do Hibike.
I do want to do that. All right, Hibike season 3. After 10 billion years, Kumiko's back, baby. At least in a season of anime and not a movie or OVA. And it's done. It finished. We're done.
What a great series.
Yeah, agreed wholeheartedly. Juan, you just watched this. What are your fresh thoughts?
Okay. If you want me to start, I'll start. I watched season 1 when it came out when I was in high school.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
It was
me and
like
Juan watched it together, I believe.
Yeah, it was like one of our first shows that me and you watched together. And I mean, like it's about a concert band, right, in school. So like this was like very personal to me, and it took almost 10 years for the story to finally finish, at least in the anime. So like seeing Kumiko like in her senior year, like which is like when I started, I'm like, oh, that made me very emotional.
Yeah.
Like thinking about that. So this show, it really encapsulates the feeling of band drama
For
to a
sure.
fucking T. Like the whole, I mean, like the whole conflict of this final season is that a transfer student comes in, who's also a senior, and like she's already known to be like a good player, and she doesn't want to overtake the spotlight from the people who are already there, and like she's very like self-conscious about it.
Yeah.
And like from we don't get too deep into it, but like from the looks of it, like it's like she's done this before.
Yeah, it happened at a previous school where she beat out a friend in an audition, and there were repercussions because she wasn't necessarily like quote unquote supposed to socially.
And like I mean that's band politics, baby. Like oh, it sucks.
Bringing it back to the anime, I really, really love how they brought this full circle, because the whole
the entire ending is very full circle.
Well, no, not just that, but like that initial conflict with the Mayu coming in, she's like really good, and she's feeling conflict. That whole like who's gonna get a soloist comes back full circle to like the first season.
That was the first major conflict in season 1.
Yeah, it is literally the first major conflict in the show where they like Reina wanted the soloist and she beat out the third year, and now Kumiko's in a position now where now she's a third year and she's gonna get beat out by someone new. And I thought that was a great full circle all around kind of things with the show.
They made that decision. They made the decision as a group that I think because of what happened in season 1 that they weren't going to value that kind of politics. Yeah, seniority.
Like,
they wanted the best players, and they stuck to their guns,
which
even down to the very
end.
end.
A major source of like drama in the show. As much as I love the show, I do feel like it felt heavily rushed. Like throughout the runtime of the show, I was like, how are they gonna like wrap up this entire series in this like next?
It's the answer is they bite and blast through this year.
and that's a lot. And
the bands,
that's most of my demerit for my issue with the show is how fast they blasted through it, because they had to do like
all three concerts,
national competitions, all 3 concerts. They had to do the post high school plans for Kumiko, which they were teasing like all season, and then the like soloist conflict that they were like building all along. All that had to be resolved in like 3 or 4 episodes, and I was like, "There's no
and
way
like
they,
also
like, do
Kumiko
this.
and Reina's relationship, and Reina going overseas, and like this.
Yeah.
There's so many different, and
There was so much.
there's even tertiary characters like the other bass player boy and his family, and like there's a bunch of shit that they just had to get through, and I think they did about as good of a job as they could have in a one core show like this. So kudos
Yeah.
for that.
For one core, I think they did the best they possibly ever could, but I really wish we had like a 2-core show.
Yeah,
to
I
show
think
up with
this
a bit
could have
more.
maybe been a 2-core, but that's okay.
All the concerts we didn't get to hear in the performance except for the
last one.
national one.
Yeah.
So like each performance is usually like 1 episode's long, but they skip all that because they were rushed.
Which is a shame because I think that is something that Hibike is known for, is doing those like immaculate like Kyoani concert animations with all the hand drawn instruments and stuff. So yeah, it is a little bit of a shame, but also I don't blame him.
There were 3 moments in this season that like the episode like stuck with me for like a long time after watching it, and Hibike was one of them. After they did the like soloist, when they did the
audition, the final audition,
and they announced the results at the end of the episodes. That episode was like, damn, that stuck with me for days. I watched it like at like 4 and 5 in the morning because when the stupid episode airs and comes out, and I could like not go back to sleep after that. I was just like, damn.
You're like, damn.
No, episode 12, where they do the whole blind audition thing. That was probably one of the best episodes of the year. Like, holy shit,
It was.
And then the episode ending with the full circle moment with Kumiko and Reina meeting up at the hill and then, like, teasing each other very eerily.
It was a good full circle moment. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful encapsulation of their relationship the whole time, which is really what the show is about at the end of the day. And also, I have to applaud the greatest bait of all time. Congratulations. This show will never be dethroned. It is the Yuri bait champion.
God damn it. I was so teased. I hate it.
Never in our lifetimes will we ever see such masterful bait, and I have to take my hat off for fucking 10 years of Hibike Euphonium doing that to us. When we fucking called it from day one, and it was like, damn, these bitches gay. And I thought maybe they would lay off this season. No, sir. They said, we're going to quadruple down and make the gayest season of Hibike we have yet. And then it still doesn't matter because they're not going to get together officially. But in my heart,
so
they
upset.
are.
Good thing we don't have that as an award.
We don't have to worry about that.
She, like, the entire season, she did not mention the crush whatsoever.
Until the very end.
Crush on Taki. And then at the last episode, she's like, yeah, after the concert, I'm going to go confess to Taki. And then they don't show it to us. Like, what's even the point of bringing it up? What's the fucking point?
To no homo us one, because of course they're not homo.
I hate him. I hate...
Anyway. It's okay.
But yeah.
Just make him gay, please.
They could be. There's plausible deniability.
That time skip for circle was also very nice as well. There was so much like nice conclusive like rapping this season.
It's so funny because
so nice.
I made jokes multiple times throughout because me and Mark watched this basically most of the back half of the season together while Logan and Juan were both busy, and I was making jokes that like since Kumiko is the professional drama handler that she should just become the counselor or whatever, and then she she ends up doing it. She becomes the teacher. And
well, I don't think the teacher really does the drama.
No,
handling.
but it was a funny joke. I was like, she can't.
When your joke becomes reality.
Exactly, but it was very cute and sweet, and it was like
I knew
the perfect job.
Exactly that she was gonna become a teacher. Like when she finally turned in her.
As soon as she turned it in, the teacher was like, "Yeah, I expected this from you all along." I was like, "Oh, I kind of had a feeling in my heart that was what was going to happen."
Like I didn't even think about president. It. Yeah, I mean she was president, so it makes sense. God, Hibike Euphonium, watch this show if you were ever in band.
Or orchestra or any sort of concert setting, like if you did music in high school.
Not even just that, even if you weren't in any of that, this show was still phenomenal for anyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think it hits a little different if you have that kind of experience, which like a lot of us do. So, but it's still excellent. Very strong season.
We get to look forward to their other work getting adapted.
What other work?
They made
the author of the book.
Yeah, the author of the book. they made the Hanawasaku, which Studio Bind is doing.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I told
Okay.
you guys about this.
Yeah, I think I remember.
I forgot.
It comes out next year.
Exciting.
There's an important announcement coming in like 10 minutes that you guys might like.
We'll see. And on that note, while this was excellent, I'm still gonna say this: Liz and the Bluebird is still the best thing that's come out of this franchise, and y'all should watch it if you haven't yet.
Oh yeah.
That's my hot take.
I mean, that's the one thing about Hibike Euphonium is that like it's like the entire second year is very messy to watch because it's like it's 2 movies and an OVA.
Yeah, they completely like ruined that section with like making it a movie format like that.
I don't mind.
But I think I liked season 2. I think Liz is the beautiful standalone kind of movie thing, but I think the season 2 like Asuka.
I still think season 2 is the best
conclusion was
season,
the
but
best.
that's just anyway.
Quote unquote season.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about season 2 of the anime. Like still year 1, season 2, the Asuka part. Okay. We're moving on. Let's talk about, I don't know why we're talking about this. Tim, tell us about Highspeed Eoile.
Oh, yes. I mainly had to see us to give an apology because in the mid-season, I treated it like it was like one of the worst shows of the year. But it actually ended up redeeming itself greatly throughout the show. Disclaimer, it's still not a great show. It's very much like a mid show, and I don't think I recommend to anybody, but it improved vastly throughout its runtime. I think a lot of the credit for that has to go to the main character and her like energy / personality carrying the show for me, and by extension the voice actor for her, which is one would appreciate. It's the same voice actor who did the Gacha no Magical Girl, the main girl one.
Oh, dude, she's a great voice actor.
Which is like, it's her personality is like a complete like 180 personality flip from what she is in that show. So it's very impressive, and she's a complete novice VA. Like this is her like second main character role. Her first one being the Magical one. So I'm really excited to see what she does in the future. But the show is still mid, but it's definitely not like the worst show that I was like giving it shit for like the last episode. And that's all I have to say here.
All right.
Kaiju.
Next up, Kaiju number 8.
Dude, I just finished this. I finished this today. Oh, we could have just not mentioned what number we were on and then lied about it and been like, hey, number 8. But you failed.
Missed opportunity.
Too late.
Oh, well.
And you could always edit it out, Mr. Editor Man.
Yeah, so you want to do a retake
Just edit to make it the 8th one?
Yeah, let's.
All right, next up,
for our 8th show.
for our 8th anime.
Holy shit, Kaiju number 8? Whoa!
Don't ask about numbers 1 through 7. We don't know.
Okay, we do. That's what the show's about. So anyway, I just finished this, and you know what I'm gonna say? I can forgive shonen pacing if the moments that deliver. And the last couple of episodes of this were pretty exceptional, especially episode 12. So, you know what?
Episode 12 was incredible.
Episode 12 was phenomenal, peak shonen.
Which one was 12?
It's the one where
the final episode.
The second half of the fight against the big boss, the dad of the blonde girl. That's the leader of the...
The fight for me wasn't the main appeal for that episode. It was like his in the conflict dialogue speech was the one that
I thought the scenes where the music was like with the action sounds cut out and it was just music was really cool.
Oh yeah.
But I'm a sucker for stuff like that.
The OST for this show is really good. I've been listening to it, but actually
we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're talking about the ending. Let's talk about the whole show.
Yeah, I still think despite again, this show has some shonen pacing. That's my only major complaint. There are some parts that drag in the middle when he's getting kind of adjusted into the society or the whatever they're called, the Kaiju Ranger Corps. But aside from that, I think
Were you about to say the Soul Society?
I was going through all the shonen group names in my head, and I was like, which one is it? But I think that Kafka is a great main character. I like his relationship with the other white-haired guy, I can't remember his name, and
Reno.
And despite the show doing the classic shonen, dump a bunch of characters on our lap in the middle of season 1 and expect us to keep up with all of them, I think they've done a pretty good job of fleshing most of them out so far, so props there. This show's just a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it.
It's some of the most fun shonen I've seen in a while. Like,
It's a neat premise. It's like decently novel for shonen. It is doing kind of the like OP main character thing pretty well because I think that they scaled the power level of the kaiju appropriately. Also, some of the best humans are pretty appropriately scaled too, so it's kind of balanced out.
Yeah, the one issue is that near the end it was like a whole rehash of the beginning of Attack on Titan, where they find Eren out as a Titan, so they find out that Kafka's a kaiju, so they gotta
I didn't really see a lot of parallels between like how those two handled it.
It started out the same, but they handled it much
Very
differently
yeah.
and much better.
Like immediately they will like salute, as he leaves. Oh, that whole like salute and like
I think the difference.
Side speech.
I think the difference is that
really
people
good.
like Kafka, and they already didn't like Eren before he was a Titan. And that was back when Eren was still reasonable as a character and not bad as he gets later.
Well, I mean, he was always like a loud guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna kill all the Titans, and I was like, okay.
I get.
Okay,
I
Eren.
also like. I understand the fears that people have for Kafka, but I think that humans are doing kind of like so badly in the kaiju fight that they basically should take whatever they can get at this point.
I mean, they could turn him to a weapon, which would have still helped them greatly.
That would have helped them, yeah.
Like,
I guess that's
fair. This, I really thought for a while that I just like stop liking shonen shows, because like JJK and Chainsaw Man, like I like them, but I like them for the fight scenes. I wasn't really that invested in the characters or story of either show
It's
yet.
truly a crack smoking thing to say, but I'll let you finish.
I'll say
first.
it. I know.
It's just insane things you're saying right now. But continue.
I don't know. I just with Chainsaw Man right now, I just see Chainsaw Man as like, I don't know. I never really like. I guess like
You should read the fucking manga.
I don't blame Tim's evaluation.
Yeah,
of Chainsaw Man
season
as
one
it
of
is right
Chainsaw
now.
Man is a little limited. I think.
We're not there yet.
You'll get
I
there.
think Aki's probably the best character in Chainsaw Man right now,
Yeah.
and even he's like kind of but the rest of them are just like, the rest of them are kind of like whatever, and like Chainsaw Man is just like a series of like cool action scenes for me, and JJK is kind of like that to Ascension just because they haven't developed like any of the characters and they like killed some of them off already too, so it's like especially the Shibuya arc was like I could not give any shit less about the Shibuya arc other than like cool fights, but like
We're rehashing our
I was
fall
really
23
getting a little dry on shonen shows, but then like Kaiju came on and it was like a breath of fresh air, and I was like, cool. I actually don't hate shonen. This is good.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time with this.
You got any thoughts, Logan?
I really like that fight scene at the end with the blonde guy. I thought that was really good. I don't know. You guys have kind of, the very last fight in the show, where Kafka was going crazy, and then he like went into his mind palace and had to like dig himself out. It was I like the show overall. You guys have just kind of mostly covered why, so I don't have a whole lot to add to the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm excited that this is a big and popular show, and that seems to be doing well. That's where I'm at with it. I'm excited to watch more of it that we will inevitably get.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
Production IG doing a good job.
All right. That was a little brief, but I mean, they don't actually cover, not that much of this story has been covered. You know what I mean?
We're episode 12, so like I think we're like only like the first 20 or 30 chapters in right now.
Yeah, it's pretty early.
I heard it gets pretty real in the next couple of bits.
Can't believe we have a friend who's read much more of this, and apparently the tiger remains a mystery for such an absurd amount of time. And
like it wasn't until like recently in the manga.
Seen the tiger that much?
No, he's just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, but she just has a tiger.
He's just there, just chilling. Why not?
Yeah,
he's cool.
I think
I
that's
had
fine.
a tiger.
He's not doing
I think
anything.
it's cool to have a mysterious tiger.
I think
it's
you
fine.
should hit up Tiger King and buy a tiger, Logan.
Hell yeah! Why haven't I done that
Logan's
yet?
obsession with cats goes to the next level.
Okay.
Tim, how would you feel if
As
there was
long
a
as he
tiger
keeps it in
roaming
his
around the
room.
house?
Logan's gotta keep it in his room then.
We're the
And then when
backyard.
it
As
doesn't
it
come
can
out for
fit in
3
the
days, I don't know
room.
why.
All right. Someone has to talk about Demon Slayer now. Speaking of shonen.
Okay.
To pay off a joke I set up like an hour ago at this point. Speaking of filler arcs,
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Did you say
Fucking.
that?
I don't remember
Yeah,
him
for
saying
Girls
that
Band
either.
I
But
don't remember that.
for
either.
Girls Band Cry, I said it.
Okay,
I said
okay.
it. I swear. Stop biting my bit.
all right. Anyway, the Demon Slayer Hashira training arc. What an absolute waste of a season. Like,
I don't know. I think
don't get me wrong. I like having downtime in a shonen show. Like, I'm actually like a huge defender of the Culture Festival arc in My Hero Academia. The difference between the like that arc and the arc here in Kimetsu no Yaiba is that there is character development happening throughout the My Hero arc. In here, we just got 2 backstories, a cool animation sequence at the end, and nothing else. Nothing
Gi's
else happened.
backstory.
Yeah, like I said, 2 backstories. We got Gi's backstory and the Stone Hashira's backstory. Those were good. I liked having those. Everything else in between, like, it was nothing. It was literally
So-
nothing.
Let me talk about, I guess, both me and Logan's experience with this season. We watched episode 1, which I think was double wide, and
Yes.
it was pretty slow, and they were just training, and they were setting stuff up, and we were like, okay. Did we watch the next? I think we watched one more episode after that as well.
We watched up to episode 3 together.
Okay, so we watched
Yeah.
2 more episodes after that, and once me and Logan realized that this was going to be the entire season and nothing was going to change, we made the hard read that it was not improving based on our experience with the last season, especially, and we just stopped. Especially because we had heard that this is not very many chapters in the manga, and it's being padded out into an entire core of anime, which explains some things. Unfortunately, Demon Slayer is not a show that is very good at writing or character development, and so when the strongest things coming out of a Demon Slayer season are some rack stories, it doesn't bode well. So no, I did not watch most of this, and I have no regrets. I'll go back and watch the movies when it's time for the movies, and I'm sure I will have missed very little.
I guarantee you the first movie is gonna start with like the last episode. So like it wouldn't
We'll get
mattered.
the scene that was cool at the end of this show. I promise it will happen again.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. So, when I finished watching it and like I gave my complaints to the group chat, Logan came up with this hypothetical of how to fix this season and the last season. We shortened the Swordsman's training arc to 8 episodes or so. And
Yeah,
then we
9
have
episodes, 8 or
the
9.
High Shot training arc for like the last 4 episodes. It would fix the pacing so much.
Yeah, because that last season was also overlong, and this doesn't feel like what am I trying to say here? Like a slice of life arc or like a slow paced arc. It just feels like it's dragging this out more than it feels like kind of a step back in terms of intensity before the final fight. It just feels like, oh crap, we have to do this thing in between, and we can't just make it an OVA because money. Maybe.
I
I don't know.
I honestly think Swordsmith Village should just have been a movie like Mugen Train as well. Anyway, I think that would have fixed most of the issues it had. Then it's like, where do you put this? And I don't know. So it's just, I think clearly the decision to make them both full seasons of television was a disaster, but that's okay. People will continue to eat up the Demon Slayer because it's what they like, I guess. I don't know how fans feel about this season.
We're both admitting that we're going to watch the movies because when Demon Slayer kicks it into gear, it's really
It's
good.
worth watching
It's
for
just
the
that,
visual
like,
spectacle. Yeah, like
an entire season of Demon Slayer specifically in low gear is like the most agonizing thing I can imagine.
yeah, exactly. It's just not playing to the strengths in any way at all. And I'm sure there are some people that are more invested, but God, I have never been that person since season 1. So,
If I were to recommend Demon Slayer to people, I would say watch season 1, watch the Mugen Train, watch the Entertainment District, and then don't watch any Demon Slayer until the next 3 movies come out.
Which, I mean, maybe we should watch
You
them.
need the Nezuko like plot line.
Yeah,
though.
but
like,
you
I'd
could
say, like,
probably
really
maybe,
lucky.
maybe find a
Watch the
supercut.
Nezuko scene. It's 15 minutes long, so
Yeah.
it'll feel like a full episode.
Like,
Maybe
I
there's,
want
like, a
someone to make
cut.
like a not One Piece. What's it called? The One Pace.
One pace
One
cut
pace,
for Demon
yeah.
Slayer. Yeah, that would go hard.
One pace for Demon Slayer that cuts out 2 entire seasons.
Yeah.
It cuts out all Zenitsu dialogue,
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, there hasn't been any Zenitsu
which is
in
crazy.
2 seasons.
The season is bad without Zenitsu even being there. How is that possible? Anyway, hopefully the movies will be better, or at least fun to watch at a theater. Which I think Mugen Train clears that bar easily, so hopefully we can get there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, if just wait
Like,
like 10 years for them.
Yeah.
I do genuinely have like decent expectations for these movies. It's just that, you know, as a TV show, this is so difficult.
Yeah, it's rough.
I don't know. I generally think I like this season more than the last season. But I think that just goes more to say how much I did not like the Swordsmith Village arc.
Swordsmith sucked.
It was really
I would be
bad.
very surprised if I would have. I mean, I didn't finish this season, but it feels like I wouldn't agree because at least a couple of things happened in the Swordsmith arc. But
Stuff happens in this one too.
I guess
No.
And like people give shit about Kimetsu by like, oh, you don't give any backstory to your characters until they're like just about to die kind of thing. But then they try to like do backstories normally and people are like snooze fast, let's just skip everything.
Tim, you
So,
say
like,
that, but like we
it's a
still don't
lose-lose
have
for
the backstories of 2 of the other Hashiras. We still don't. And they're
That's
gonna give
crazy.
the backstories in the movies. I guarantee you.
We'll see.
I think at least part of the problem is the backstories in Demon Slayer are usually pretty boring. Like if they were good backstories, I wouldn't mind them playing the same card over and over again. But you know, like what was the big backstories from the Swordsmith Village? It was like a hair guy was like, my brother got killed. This is gonna take 6 episodes to explain.
And
then the
pink haired girl
pink
just
hair
ate
girl,
a lot.
Yeah, she eats a lot.
Like, I don't know.
They didn't
So
even
much mochi,
explain
her hair
the
turned
narrative
pink.
reason. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't even explain that in the show, I don't think. I had to look that up.
They did explain it in the show.
No,
Oh,
I
did
think they
it?
explained it like in one of the extra bits at the
Oh,
end.
and the Taisho secrets?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
I
we can,
think that back was at least better than the fucking pink kid.
Okay, I actually speaking of the Taisho Secrets thing, I will say at the end of the episode, of the final episode, they do a very cute, very wholesome, very touching Taisho Secret where they're like, "Hey, what are we doing a Taisho Secret for? We're about to fight Muzan," and then Rengoku from beyond the grave says, "You guys can do it," and then they're like, "Huh? Who was that?" And like I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's a little touching." I like hearing Rengoku's voice after so long of not hearing him.
That's
Oh
kinda
yeah,
cute.
the Rengoku appearance was a nice touch.
Yes. So that was nice. I like that. But it should not have been after the end of what is listed as 8 episodes, but in actual runtime is like a full season.
Remember
it was not
when
worth
we
it
were
for
so
just that.
happy when remember when we were so happy when we were like, oh, this one's gonna be a shorter season.
Yeah, well, nevertheless. all right, let's move on. No more Demon
Yeah.
Slayer.
All right. We are now moving into the Tim Power Hour.
Sort of.
Sort of. Well, there's only a power hour we have, but this is like the shows that you guys started watching but dropped, but I finished watching.
Okay, starting with Astro Note.
Astro Note. These will be quick and mostly spoiler free because some of them I know you guys want to go back and rewatch. Astro Note. My opinion hasn't budged much since the mid-season. It did get wild and fun at like the second to last episode, which I know Chris saw like clips of, and I really wish the entire series had that kind of wacky ending to it. But the show as a whole still felt very dry and mid compared to like everything else in this very busy season. So honestly, just like I would just honestly pass on it.
This one had a little bit of flair, and I
It
appreciate.
had a flare for like 30 seconds in second last episode, and I wish they had more of that flare throughout.
Wow, that is a very short amount of flair.
Like Chris saw the flare, he's like, "Oh, we should go back to it." It's like,
it
no,
was a
don't
funny
fall for
scene,
it.
but yeah,
It was a funny scene. I just wish the entire show was that funny scene. It had potential.
unfortunate.
Like that's how
I hate
the
when
show
shows
is.
do
a
that.
funny scene because I have not seen anything of Astro Note on my Twitter.
Oh well.
I think he posted it somewhere.
We'll dig it up later.
I'm sure Chris can find it while I go
Yeah.
on this
No, next
Power
up.
Hour. Jiisan Baasan. My complaints about it still stands. With the mid-season, it has a complete lack of plot. It has the same recurring gag, and the thrusting issues is still very weird, even though they kind of toned down at that. I will admit that it does have its like cute, wholesome moments throughout the show, scattered throughout, especially towards the end. It gets very cute, wholesome with them like trying to be together to the very end. Maybe in 50 years I'll like watch this anime again and look at it in a different light, but like I'm probably like
not.
3 generations too early to enjoy the show.
Okay.
Ninja Kamui, avoiding spoilers because I know Chris and the rest of them dropped
This
it, but they
one,
want
I
to
think we
watch
intend
it.
to finish this one, unless you say it is bad, in which case
It this director really only knows how to do fight scenes because like the fight scenes are very much him and they're very cool, but it really feels like everything he works on, it's incapable of having a complete coherent story to the end, because the second half of it, especially story wise, kind of like falls apart into like a very, very hot mess.
it was not amazing when we left off, for the record. I just want to put that out there. That's part of the reason that we kind of fell off of it, is that the writing has never been particularly good. So
if you drop this, I'm not gonna blame you. Maybe this is one of the things where you like look up a fight compilation and enjoy it that way.
right.
But this is one of the shows I would not blame you for dropping. Ooi Tonbo, having experienced both of the golf animes this year, since the last time I did the mid-season, the other golf anime hasn't come out. I can firmly say that I really do think Ooi Tonbo is the superior golf anime for having soul and character behind its show. On top of its like oddly super technical golf, but it also skips over like basic info about how to play golf, which I guess makes sense considering it's in a golf anime, a golf magazine, so they kind of assume you know the basic of golf. But there's a lot of like character and soul behind the, not just the golf, but like the main character as well. So, and that's like a huge part of like what's making the show enjoyable. They have a season 2 announced for next season, and there's a time skip to it, so I'm looking forward to seeing where it takes me. Chris should still definitely.
I'm glad this was good. I'm genuinely.
The other one.
I heard Rising Impact wasn't very good. I was probably not gonna watch it.
It was very bad. Sandland the series. I think I actually watched most of it the mid-season because it did like a batch drop of 8 episodes. After finishing the second half, I think I can safely say that most people can probably stop after the first arc, because I gave all my like glowing reviews for the first arc last episode, but the second arc half thing is really bland and it feels kind of hastily put together, and the villain is like a joke, and he really just like kind of ruins the show just by himself. It's just a huge disappointment because we come off with this like really nicely packaged, cool story, and then we get to this, and it kind of feels like those things where they're like, oh, we made a really cool first season, now let's make a second season. We're like, we didn't come up with a second season, and like come up with one now, and this is what they put together in 5 minutes. But yeah, first half still very cool. I think you guys should still go back and watch it instead of just the first episode.
Yeah, we should at least finish the movie section.
Yeah, the movie section is the good one. TP Bond. TP Bond might win the award for the most useless, annoying main character of the year, but I'm pretty sure there was someone else I'm forgetting about this year that was pretty useless and annoying. All that aside, the story is pretty simple and repetitive. It's like main character goes back to a time of history, and you're supposed to save this person's life and occasionally change some part of history in a wacky, whoopsie way. When you know the time period of the civilization that the episode takes place in, because it changes every episode, it gets, it's very fun. Like, they recount the Tales of Genji in the Heike Monogatari story, or they like in one episode they go to that like not South American, the Central American temple thing we did, guys. Did
Oh,
in the
Mayan.
Yeah, they did Mayan Pichu thing. They talk about the soccer game and the pits of water and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when you're like, oh yeah, I know this. I've been here. It's adds an extra kind of like, oh, that's cool. But as a whole adaptation, it's kind of just like okay all around. But moving on to the last one in the Power Hour, which is Jellyfish. Can't swim at night.
We have to give the official nut bar apology for. I think this is the one that me and Juan absolutely should have finished, and just it got fucked. It all got fucked up, and we didn't finish it.
I'm gonna try to be as vague as possible because they didn't finish, and I'm hoping they go back and finish it at some point. Jellyfish is a mixed bag of an anime, very much like Girls Been Quiet, but in a very different way. I think this show had a lot of potential. It was definitely well produced and had great characterization of not just the main cast but the support as well. I mentioned in Hibike there was like 3 moments in this season that like stuck with me. One of them was the Hibike audition resorts, and there was one here where like the main girl like breaks down and had like a very powerful moment. There was a lot of really emotional, powerful moments in the show. I think the problem with the show is like I don't think they knew where they wanted to go with the story. So we have this chunk of the anime in like the mid to late half of the show that really feels like it's in limbo, and it kind of goes nowhere, and it ultimately kind of ends on a weird note. I also know I praise the show a lot for its like supporting cast characterization, but they introduced a lot of characters and they didn't. I wish they dwell a little bit more on some of the other like lesser characterized moments, like the mom who was like the main, who was set up to be like the main antagonist of the show, and like the former idol group who's also like the villain since the beginning. Instead of creating additional characters like the mom idol character, which I don't think Chris got to, but she's like honestly like in defense phenomenal and one of the best characters in the show. But there was a lot of really good things and about the show, but it does have this weird clunky moments, but I still think very much like Girls Been Quiet, it's worth giving a try, especially for like people who watch like a lot of stuff like Chris and one.
Okay. I will try to have this watched by the year end for awards.
Oh, me for sure as well.
Yeah.
I really like how they handle the VTuber girl, because she kind of gets this whole like development scene in the middle, but they like doesn't really conclude very much, but they go back to again a couple of times, and the one that they're really trying to like focus on top of like the main 2 like soft Yuri vibes that's going on between those 2 as well. So there's a lot of good characterization that I think where the show really kind of excels at. But yeah, we can move on to Konosuba season 3.
All right. 10 Power Hour over. Okay. Yeah, Konosuba was also back and also had a season 3. Not quite the same as Hibike, but you know.
Yeah, a lot of season 3s this season.
There were like 7 or something stupid like that.
Yeah, but man, I missed these douchebags so much. I was really worried that after the Megumin spin-off show that I'm like, did I grow out of Konosuba humor? Like, is Konosuba actually kind of mid? And then we get back to the actual Konosuba, I'm like, no, their dynamic is just the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially that first episode. I was like,
The first
we're
episode
so
was
back.
fucking funny.
It was so good.
It was
With
so
the
funny.
tree, whatever thing, the dryad, whatever thing, was phenomenal.
I was really worried that like with the change in studio, that like the quality would go down, but like the off-model characters actually worked in its favor.
Yeah, they had a lot of visual
like,
comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good.
The Megumin show didn't have like quality issues,
No.
so like I was never really that concerned about Drive, stumbling the bag on that. I do think since one complains that the the Iris arc, Castle arc went on a bit too long for my
I
liking.
completely agree. I think there was a
Especially
couple
with
of
the
parts.
Chris bit.
Yeah. Well, no, I liked that part.
Well, before the Chris bit, like right
Oh.
before the Chris bit. Like I know the whole breaking in was great, but like the episode 2 before that was like it's dragging a bit too long. Because initially I really liked the Iris bit, the only son kind of thing, but like it did feel like it went on a bit too long.
Yeah, there were some jokes in this season that I wasn't the biggest fan of. That was kind of one of them, and I think that whole segment was a little long. So I don't think the season was quite as strong as season 2 or 1. That's probably just my own personal opinion. I didn't think as many of the jokes were quite as funny, but I think it was still at a consistent level that I would consider to be like, you know, good Konosuba fun comedy. I liked having the characters back all together. It was good. I enjoyed myself.
I don't know. I think there's always a few moments in each season where I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. Like for me, it was like the last bit of the Hot Spring arc in season 2. Like I liked the whole cold gag thing, but like the slime arc was kind of like meh for me. So like, I don't think the season was like necessarily any weaker to any other of the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't perfect, is all I'll say. Like I think the movie still was the peak for me.
I mean, like I think for me, like for a baseline comedy show, like I have to laugh at least once per episode for me to consider it like, oh, okay, maybe not like one laugh. I mean, like one big hearty laugh from me each episode.
Yeah.
Then you're doing your job as a comedy show, and Konosuba does that consistently. So I think it did its job well in that regard. Like my only like main complaint with season 3 was the not necessarily the first half, but the second half where they like kind of like retread the same darkness leaves the party plot. Like we already did this. Like why is she trying to leave again for the same reason?
Yeah.
But like there was some funny situations that came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole
The impersonation bit.
the impersonation bit was
really
incredible. Holy shit. And man, well, fuck, why am I blanking his name? Kazuma was so close to putting it in. He was so fucking close, but he fucked it up in his own classic Kazuma way. And you know what? Yeah. Stay gold, pony boy.
Exactly.
Did we see the supporting characters before, like Rin and Duffield, whatever his name is?
Who's Rin?
The nobleman who's taking pictures, that whole like little gag scene.
I'm blanking on this as well.
Dust and Rin. Remember there was like a nobleman that he was like put into like a hotel room with Rin, and he was like thinking they were up to some no good, and he busted in.
Yes, I think we have been introduced to those characters before.
Yeah, I think they were in season 1.
Have we? Okay, I wasn't sure because I know them because of the mobile game, but I don't remember them much from the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of felt like they came out of nowhere.
No, I think they were introduced before.
Okay.
But yeah, Konosuba, one of the greater isekais out there,
Well, yeah.
especially if you like comedy.
Konosuba's still good.
Yeah. Still a household name in anime, and glad that it can still hold up after years and years off. So that's nice.
I mean, I'm sure there's still more to the story, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm
There's
sure they
still a
will.
lot
I'm
more.
sure they will
There's-
continue adapting it.
Tons and tons more.
mm-hmm.
No season 4 announced though. Very sad.
Well, I'm sure we'll get.
It took a
an announcement
while
soon.
between 2 and 3, so
Yeah.
I mean, they had to switch studios and all that, but
Yeah.
assuming they stick with Drive, it should be
hopefully
fairly
sooner.
quick.
All right. Next up is more isekai. Wow, more isekai sequels.
Yeah. Mushoku Tensei season 2 part 2. Like now, this was a very interestingly paced season. We start off exactly where we left off in at the end of part 1, where spoilers for all of this, by the way. Rudius gets married to Sylphie, and so like the whole season this part starts with him finding a home and like moving in, and like slowly but surely like starting a family with Sylphie, which is very nice. I actually really like that. But then like by the second half, we just like immediately like switch gears and we're like going fast with the dungeon arc and like
I don't think it was that fast.
It goes pretty fast. I mean, like not necessarily the arc itself, but like more like the relationship with Roxy and Rudius that goes really fast.
Cheats on his wife?
I think they built it up since they teased it since season 1.
I mean, yes, but like the whole she's stuck in a dungeon. He rescues her. She immediately falls in love. The whole dungeon thing happens, and then they fuck at the end of the dungeon. I'm like, wait, that is really fast. Like,
he cheats on his wife? Or
I get it's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. I would say the similar thing happened with Eris.
yeah,
Like
but
they went from like, teammates to like fuck buddy real fast, And then she just up and left them, but it's a whole like baggage from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this season. It was definitely a huge improvement over the first part of season 2, where it was all this like really paced school arc that kind of went to limbo and we weren't sure where it was going. This one, we always knew where we were heading and the tension. It never felt like each storyline overstayed its welcome. Buying did its action thing with the dungeon bit.
Oh, it was some incredible
delivered.
Action.
The romance, I do agree, is a bit like random, but I also feel like they've been teasing it since like the beginning. And I kind of like how it comes full circle to Rudius and his dad, with his dad doing the maid, and now him with Roxy. There's a lot of like full circle parallel thing going on this season. Hibike that I really
there's a whole
appreciate.
scene where Paul is talking to Rudius. Like he sees like the way he looks at Roxy, and he's like, "Son, do you know why I picked up dual swords?" Like, and I'm like, oh, he knows exactly what's up.
But yeah, I mentioned the 3 scenes over and over again, or twice already, and Mushoku was the 3rd scene that like really stuck with me, with that like Hydra fight finale.
The Hydra fight finale. Oh,
it was. Oh
God, that hurts.
I really hope you weren't too spoiled on that one, because watching that like raw, not knowing what's happening was.
Tim, I was spoiled on it, and it still hurt because like I didn't know how it was gonna happen.
How much more it would have hurt if you didn't know.
Exactly.
Like that scene stuck with me. It probably will stick with me for a long time.
Yeah.
God,
man.
What a crazy scene that was. Honestly, this had everything I liked about the original Mushoku, and maybe even a little bit more about it. I think the only thing I have to say is, like, I do agree. I think the pacing is weird. I don't think it's obviously it's welcome, but it does go from like
super slow to super fast,
lovey-dovey to like let's go to a dungeon. I think they did the transition well, but it was just like it was very whiplash to go from like lovey-dovey to that. But
yeah,
they had like a transition like episode 2 where they were like traveling to help. Like,
the travel episodes were actually really cool. It was like, I mean, the whole teleportation was really cool.
Yeah, and it still had a nice lace of comedy and everything it's known for in there.
Mm-hmm.
The whole succubus Anis was like a nice gag too. There's lots of nice like little things they tweak in there, and Ruja coming in, and then the daughters coming around. It was just a lot of things throughout that.
Though I have no idea where the show's gonna go from here, because like now we've rescued the mom, so like what else is there to do now? And like he's already married. He has 2 wives now. Where do we go from here?
A little bit. So I kind of a little bit knows what's going to happen next, but we'll see.
Yeah, but regardless, like Mushoku Tensei has still been going good. Like
it's still the GOAT for sure. If you were like skeptical a little bit of like the first part of season 2, you should definitely go back in for part 2, because
I think watching all of season 2 together is probably the better experience than seeing part 1 and then part 2 months later.
At least with season 1, when they did the split, it made sense, because like the split happened with the big twist and scene change.
Yeah,
so it made sense to like take a break there. But for this one, it didn't make quite much sense to stop, because tonally it kind of like most more or less the same with where it left off.
Yeah.
Anyway, still good. It's still very good. Highly recommend. Let's move on to me.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you're talking for a little bit here.
No, just one show.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a little mini.
That's what I
later.
thought was about to happen.
No, that's later.
The Seiyuu radio something. I don't remember the English name. This show is basically budget Shirobako, but like with a very heavy focus on the Seiyuu instead of like the animation process. And as someone who really liked Shirobako, this show kind of hits my perfect niche. It does a really nice job to show what VAs like do beyond voicing anime characters and like the struggles they have to go with in like becoming VAs. As far as the I know the show was marketed as like Yuri, and I think they really dropped the ball on the Yuri bit because it's like on the same level, if not a little bit less than the Forehead Yuri we had a couple of seasons ago. I forgot what
Forehead
that
Yuri
show was called.
But
you know what I'm talking about.
yes, it's the space one. But
regardless, I still really like the dynamic and story overall, especially when we compare it to the other train wreck of a GL we had this season, which still isn't done yet because it's in production delay hell. But yeah, overall, probably a little bit niche, but I really liked the premise and the dynamic the show had.
all
We
right,
can move on to Sentai. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say about this.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Sentai
definitely.
Daishikaku.
This is also one that I finished
baby.
today. This show is all over the place. It's crazy. I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out what this show was trying to do and what it was trying to be basically the whole time. And yet, even despite that, I came away off of it pretty hot still. Like, I was pretty invested by the end. Even though it is like just all over the place narratively. Like, so much happens and develops in one season. It's like there are certain layers of what you think is happening, and then as you are introduced to more complex parts and more things in the world and narrative, it kind of throws twists in it, and you're like, oh, so the boss monsters are not dead, and like actually there may be some other organizations working and trying to support them too, and it's like the Rangers are maybe not actually bad, except that they kind of are still. It's like this layered thing where maybe the organization isn't inherently bad, maybe just some of the Rangers at the top are, and the motivations of most of them is hard to tell. As well, like Red's a fucking psychopath, but Blue seems like a good guy. Anyway, it's all these like complicated situations. But I found it pretty thrilling and fun to watch. I do think it dragged a little in the middle, and then picked way up in the last couple of episodes.
Dude, the last 2 episodes were insane.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cool. Like I was not when I first started the show, like I was just enthralled by the Red Ranger. The whole middle, it was missing the Red Ranger. It definitely in the middle, like it became like just like your like general shonen, because like it was like another exam arc.
Yeah, exam arc, whatever.
It was a pretty quick exam arc.
It was pretty quick.
It's very Chunin exams where it devolves into a real fight pretty quickly. Well, Chunin exams, I guess that wasn't pretty quickly in the Chunin exams, but
Chunin was like a long ass thing.
But either way, that's what much like the Chunin exams, it devolves into a real fight because a big boss shows up.
Yeah.
But
like the whole
I guess
mystery
also happens in Kaiju. If another thing.
Yeah, they're both pretty similar. Like the whole mystery of this show is like, I think its biggest grab, because like there's just so many questions. Like, why are the Rangers evil? Why did the boss monsters disappear? Why is that yellow chick so normal?
Especially, dude.
Normal?
I thought
Quote,
you
unquote,
think
normal.
you think you think you
not call
kind
her
of
normal.
know what her game is at the beginning, and then the more you find out about the rest of the circumstances of the show, I have no idea. At the point we're at the show now, I have no idea what the fuck she's doing. Genuinely zero clue. She's just
like,
there for the ride.
She's like helping the boss monster, and then she also helped kill him, and then she also helped kill the Ranger, but then she also helped the Ranger. Like, what the fuck is her game plan?
And like, to be fair, I think that maybe one of the weaker elements right now, at least by the end of the show, is that I still don't really know what Fighter D is trying to accomplish.
I was gonna say I feel like probably the main character is exactly like that too, where we don't really know where he fits
See,
as
but
far as
the girl
alignment.
has a plan, and the guy's just winging it. Is the difference?
And I would say that's the main appeal of the show, is watching him try to fit where he like falls into his like personal like alignment. Like, is he supporting the villain boss guys, or is he part of the Rangers now? Like, he's this weird like gray zone where he wants to do kind of both, kind of. And it's interesting to see him kind of evolve as a character from this like 2-bit villain to like, oh, this is more kind of complex than I thought.
I thought it was a little stupid that he decided to fight the Blue Ranger again at the end of the show, but I get that they had to do that to set up the big dramatic moment. And he, like, also it was clear he wasn't actually trying to kill him. But it's just, it was like kind of like
trying to, but then like having the kill stolen from him like really affected him.
It's hard.
I think he tried to kill him. I think it was for real.
Yeah, but I don't think
he
he had a
kill him
chance.
Instead of
Unfortunately,
No, definitely he definitely did not have a chance.
But
it also
dumbass,
sucks for Blue to be the best and most likable Ranger. Like, I mean, this is on purpose, obviously. That gets all the backstory and then have him be the first one to die, and you're like, ah,
man.
I was really
Like,
surprised.
earlier in the season, he's like set up to be like this like a douchebag.
Yeah, but then you find out
all the subordinates really liked him, and they're like, "Oh, he's such a nice guy." So I think we kind of knew from the beginning.
Well, I mean, like, no, even then, like, I'm like, oh, they're just gassing him up because they're brainwashed to believing
I kind of figured
nice.
the girl was.
No, the chick was like
his girl.
I fully believe the chick, the small girl.
She was the first one I like believed. I'm like, okay, no, she probably knows something that we don't. And then we get the whole backstory. I'm like, oh.
It doesn't help that the rest of the Rangers are pretty fucked up. So
yeah, Red is a fucking.
Yeah, Red needs to be institutionalized.
I think Red is like the main source of corruption in the Rangers.
See, I don't think that's true. I think he believes in the Ranger system to a fault and has his own warped sense of justice, but I don't think he's corrupt.
I don't think so. Do you remember his line when he found out Blue was dead?
Well, that's just because
that's the thing though. Like he found out he's dead. He's like, man, the formation's all fucked up now.
I don't think he cares about that shit, but like,
I think he can. He was like, damn. The only bad thing about Blue Dot is that the height order's all wrong now. No,
I don't know. What I'm trying to say is I don't know if that's evidence that he is working with the boss monsters or
no. I don't think he's working with the boss guy at all. I think he's his own like. Fucking villain.
I think he's like power hungry and like he just wants to be in control of everything at all times.
I think the boss villains are, a villain and problem. And I think the Ranger bosses are a problem of their own. Like they're two separate like villain entities fighting each other. Basically, no. I think we shouldn't look at it like Ranger's good, villain's bad.
No, I think the show is very, very clearly emphasized
Rangers,
that
these gotta kill
the Rangers are not a good organization, but at the same time, the boss monsters are clearly very evil too, and a genuine threat to humanity. So it's an interesting balance.
So Fighters D wants to kill all of them.
Clearly, we are meant to cheer on a lot of the lower rank Rangers that were introduced to this season because they're
because I don't think they've been corrupted. Yet. Yeah.
Also, what the fuck is going on with the red-haired guy? What happened to his fucking face? I don't know.
Oh,
that him?
That was him.
I don't know if that last
scene
was him or someone else.
He has the green eyes. It's him.
It might have been something else.
Him.
No, it's him. It's 100% him. Like he's keeping up, and like I'm sure we're gonna like catch up with him like in the next season.
This got an immediate
confirmed a second season.
Yeah, it got an immediate.
It's got for a second season. Right after.
I think really want to read the manga.
Is it fall?
Oh, is it that soon?
No, it's not that soon.
Okay.
I want to look that up.
Doesn't have a date.
I think there's a date.
It just says 2025 on Mal.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So next year.
Still, like, if it was like winter 2025, that I would like that a lot.
Either way, like I said, this one has a couple of problems and is a little rough around the edges at times, but I think is doing enough interesting stuff. I've had good word from other people that the manga is good, and I think that the anime adaptation is kind of rushing through parts of this manga that get a little bit more screen time, which can add to the sort of hectic and a little confusing feeling it has at times. But I'm still invested enough. I'm gonna keep watching this. I thought this was pretty fun.
I think this is another one that shonen heads should be really into.
Like I said, especially the last couple episodes with the big fight was good.
I mean, the whole direction the show is going in the first place was pretty neat, and the twist on this has only like elevated my interest in the show.
Yeah,
but what a crazy thing to go from like a harem
They're also
romance show
not
to
afraid to kill people, which I
Sentai.
appreciate. That's always something that's
yeah.
cool.
No, I was genuinely surprised when they killed off Blue.
Not just Blue, the other guy that was on the squad too. And we thought
that
the
guy
Afro
died.
kid. We thought the Afro kid died too, but then he apparently didn't.
Yeah,
at the
he's
very
alive.
end.
yeah.
So
But the other fighters have died too.
yeah. All
Lots
right.
of deaths.
Okay. I think that's all we got here. All right, Logan, you still here with us? You still plugged in?
I'm still technically alive.
You want to talk about Shuumatsu Train now that we're finally here?
Yeah, now that we're finally here at the end of the ride, so to speak. Yeah, I think Shuumatsu Train was good. I liked kind of the episodic style of storytelling that it took. Where you kind of just visiting these strange worlds. Episode after episode, and then it kind of comes to a head. You get a lot of callbacks in those last 2 episodes or so, and this was one I was a little concerned. Some of the midsection, I don't know why the zombie world got 2 whole episodes. Personally, I was not that enthralled by it.
This is more like 1.5, but
yeah,
I think
but
it was
I like the zombie
two.
girl. I actually think she's a pretty good guy. I like that she came back at the end and had some more development. I don't know.
I
was a
like
fan.
that she came back at the end. I just feel like the actual being in the zombie world didn't deserve as much time as it got,
guess
per
so.
se. But there's a lot of like kind of inventive storytelling going on here, and like inventive world building, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say here, and a lot of fun stuff. And I think that the ending. I think that they stuck the landing reasonably well. Tim pointed out some production issues that we didn't notice, but also we didn't notice those production
I was gonna say I was having so much fun by the end of the show.
I don't know how
really
you
pay
didn't
attention
notice
to
because they
them.
were like
I thought it
glaring in
looked
my
a little
faces
bit
when I
bad,
watched
but
it.
I was invested in the narrative, bro.
But like once I showed to you, I don't think you'll like not see it now.
Sure, but again, that could be fixed in post. And otherwise, I think the show looks very good. So, like they're like the mangaka fight at the end with all the different art styles. That was some great animation in that sequence. Like,
and that was all really funny too.
yeah, it was absolutely hilarious, which the show is able to do, I think, really well.
Considering it's ENT Squared who's doing this, who was like best animation work is like, I don't know, Kuma Bear
Yeah,
or
not
like
the biggest.
Assassin Pride.
Yeah, not the
they don't
most-
have a really great track record. I think they did a phenomenal job
is
with
easily their
the
best
studio
show,
it
yeah.
is, but like it's still it still has issues. But I think they did the best they could.
I would love some Juan thoughts.
I think,
Okay.
to the dismay of my co-hosts here, this might have been my least favorite show of the season.
Of everything you
Wow.
watched?
Out of compared to y'all, at least, like I'm definitely like much colder on this than y'all are. It's not bad, not at all. It's still a very fun show, but like I don't know, it just felt kind of like I was expecting more with how strong the show started. I don't know, it just feels like kind of a generic weird moe show to me. Not necessarily generic.
Hold on.
Not generic. Generic is too harsh. But like it feels like I've seen this before with Kimono Friends.
What?
I'll jump in here a bit.
I think it's
and
fine
back-
if you bounce off of it, but I refuse to take you seriously when you call this show in any way generic or also in
not
any way
generic.
like anything else we've ever seen. This is one of the
Yeah,
most
yeah,
unique
let-
shows
let
I've
me-
ever seen.
Let me try to back up maybe one a bit here. Like I also wasn't super hot on the show. I think I like how like each episode or each top was very like out there and cool and wacky. I think that was very fun and creative of them. I think that's its best attribute. I think the story, it trying to have a story hurt it a lot.
Yes.
Like it was trying to
you're so
get
wrong.
some, it tried to have a destination, and it trying to have a finale conclusion with Yoka or whatever her name is, and that whole bit was very like messy to me. I think if they did like a Girls last tour, we're just gonna, this war is fucked up, we don't know why, but we're gonna just explore each stop, and we explore this new world with them. The show would be much better off. But I think every time it tried to become plot relevant or serious, it actively hurt the show.
I think y'all bounced off of it and missed a lot of the things that the show was trying to do, and I hate doing that because it makes me sound pretentious, but like, I think that this show did a very good job of establishing certain themes and then building on them and then delivering on them at the end. I think that it had a very cohesive narrative. I do not agree at all with any of your assessments about that. I still think that this is one of the most like creative and inventive shows I've seen in a while. I really liked the main cast. They all are very well written characters. They all had different nuances. The dialogue was snappy.
The character arcs of the other two characters, because like we got the main character, obviously we got her arc, and we got the short girl. I don't know anything about
we totally got the
chubby
Gyaru
girl or the Gyaru.
The Gyaru had a whole episode about her and the other girl's relationship. I think we got a little bit less of the other girl.
I don't think we know anything about the chubby girl.
We get a little bit of her. Apparently her parents, her like dad left or something. But I think she gets enough screen time that you're able to kind of get her vibe without the dedicated like episode about her. Either way, I thought the show was excellent. I think this is one of the best shows of the season, and also one of my favorite shows of the year. I am extremely happy when cool originals like this are able to happen. It's definitely very esoteric. It's very Japanese. It might be a little hard to keep up with some of the jokes. I think a lot of the references even went over my head. But then you get like these incredible episodes, like the Gulliver's Travel Tiny People episode, or
like I said, I like each individual episode, like each of the bits. So many bits I liked a lot. It was just whenever they were like, we gotta fight the 7G guy, that was
it's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be very serious. I think
no, it's not even just that. It's just like I wish we had another like single episode story, cool world, instead of like we gotta fight this 7G dude, or we gotta rescue Yoko, which like I get that was the whole point of the journey, but like I really don't think I thought that there was
a perfect amount of screen time to resolve everything that had been set up. I don't really have any complaints about the narrative. I think it worked exactly as it meant to on its own merits. So I don't know. I guess we'll just agree to disagree here. But I liked this a lot. I thought this was one of, like I said, it's definitely a hidden gem status, but I would highly recommend this show for anyone who likes sort of weird and wacky anime, which I definitely do. So it's definitely up my alley.
All of its production issues was like, this show was kind of
hesitate strongly to use the phrase like all of its production issues. This show looked fine and had basically no problems until the very end.
Definitely had issues towards the end.
Okay,
I just guess you guys were blind to all of it.
I see so many shows. I will not let you gaslight me. I see so many shows that have genuine production quality issues, like actual ugly, off-model, consistent problems, and I'm not going to let you paint a couple of bad special effects at the end of one episode as a sign that the show in general was having production problems.
There was multiple episodes, and it was after a delay.
But
to fix those production
whatever, we still got a product, and I am reviewing the product we got. I don't care that it was delayed.
And I will review it, and it still has issues even after the product we got.
Okay, but I just think that you are dumping unnecessary criticism on a show that otherwise does not really have that many.
My issues were not just production issues. I had lots of issues, which we talked about already.
Okay,
it's just all in all.
I think it is disingenuous to say that this show has significant production issues compared to plenty of other shows that are way uglier. That is the point.
But I'm not trying to raise other shows to give a pedestal as this. Like other shows have production issues, and I say that they're mid and generic and bad. But I'm not saying that about this show.
Okay.
I still had a fun time with the show, by the way. Like I just don't think it's like
I mean,
anime of the season. I don't think it's gonna make my top 10.
Really liked it. I think it was neat and it has a cool premise. There was also just a lot I didn't like about it, but there are also all things I think was very cool and neat about it. Where like to the point where I would probably still say, "Hey, this is a cool, unique show that you guys could give a try." But I'm not going to be like, 2024 all the shows you should watch 24, this is going to be in top of my list or like top 5. You know, it's not going to be a high rank, but I would
it's
still
definitely
give
the
this to
best.
someone.
It's definitely the best original that's aired so far. I refuse to fact check. I refuse to fact check myself on that. But
Girls Band Cry?
I want to fact check on this.
I think I like this. I think I like this more than Girls
That's
Band Cry.
crazy.
That's a
That's
a
crazy. Girls Band Cry is incredible.
I think that's crazy, especially because Girls Band Cry had a weaker ending. I think if Girls
I don't
Band
know
Cry
if I
had stuck the
agree,
landing,
but I
It
don't
was
think
much more
that's
consistent throughout the
crazy.
beginning, though.
I don't agree at all. I think the show was consistent the entire time. I don't really think this show had a bad episode. So
I don't think it was like I said, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like mid, not mid, but like a step
it's okay.
above mid the entire time.
For the record, I think it's fine that y'all bounced off of this show. I think that I understand people not being as into it, but I just want to be honest about the merits. That's it. Anyway, that was divisive, but here we are. That's why we come to this podcast. Okay, we will move on.
All right, now for a second little mini
Why are
Tim
we talking
Power
about
Hour.
this?
He wants to talk about it.
Which one?
Tensei
Kizoku reincarnated aristocrat.
It's a rare good isekai, which is not something I can say very often. So yeah, big part of the show that created an isekai, but it doesn't make the main character overpowered. But instead, he like finds companions and he makes them overpowered instead. It also gives a lot of consideration to be like, oh, this is not a generic word plot to make everyone overpowered, but it actually has like the whole main like conflict is, you know, well thought out to this like political landscape to the show about like secession, faction kind of things. And it's a rare case where an isekai show has a story that emotionally like captivates us, giving us like death and moments where you get like emotionally involved without spoiling it too much. I was just very genuinely surprised at how well this show like kind of turned itself around to become like, you know, initially being from like, oh, this is going to be just like another 5 out of 10 show, to being like, oh, this show has like actual emotions in it and actual lore and actual like politics, and it's like it doesn't lean on its isekai, you know, fence, but it's like, oh, I want to just lean back on all of these tropes and have that carry my show. Like the isekai trope is kind of just there to have him kind of like have an excuse to like why he's like good at gathering people around him, but that's all he does. It's like him like gathering people around him doesn't help him that much, and most of it has to be carried through like the author's actual skill of writing good story and character, which it actually does, because there was actually a couple of like moments where we get a little like teary-eyed invested into this guy's, I don't want to say growth, but his like, as he, yeah, we'll just call it growth. As his growth as a character, we kind of happy pass away in him, like move on, and it was definitely like what's the word? Hidden
Gem.
That's what I don't know why. It's late. I'm dumb. It's a hidden gem, and I wanted to make sure I bring it to light.
Oh.
Which is not great to talk about. My brain's not thinking. But so this is a good time to talk about the weirdest and confusing show of the year, which is Tono Yokai-san. Even after watching this show, I really have no idea how to describe or rate this show. It like initially tricks you into thinking this is this weird like slice of life yokai show about like yokais living alongside humans, but then it gets very dark at times, gets very weird at times. It goes into like parallel universe. The world almost ends at one point. It like people like kind of start dying left and right. It's just like it like I honestly don't know what to make of the show. Like most of the show is this more or less kind of like the closest I could compare this to is like Mushoku, where it's just like supposed to be this like yashi calming vibe, but it has this like dark undertone. But eventually, every once in a while, just like the dark overtone or just the crazy like attributes kind of like overtakes the tone of the show and becomes the main like theme. It definitely wins the award for reader show, and whether that's a good thing or bad thing is kind of up to you. I think just by that it's worth trying, but like I honestly don't really know how I would sell people on the show because it's so weird.
Strange.
Which I wish I wrote notes for, but this is the one show I didn't write notes and my like brain isn't working. So we'll just end it on that.
Okay.
Next up is Uresai Yatsura, which has been running for like 4 seasons now at this point.
Which is
Which
crazy.
honestly is crazy because it doesn't feel like it's been 4 seasons, which is probably a compliment more than anything.
4 seasons is
At
a
how
year.
well. Yeah, it did like a 2-core for 1 season, 2-core for 2nd season.
Wow.
For like a year. And honestly, it does not feel like it, which I think is a testament at how well the show like adapted. We're in this weird trend now where like shows from the 80s and 90s are getting readapted
Remade?
to modern day.
I can't believe
like,
Ranma one half is getting
Ranma
it. Yeah.
1/2 is getting adapted next season of all things by Mappa, which that's gonna be crazy.
TBD on that one. I don't know how to feel about that yet. We'll see.
I don't like it was a Yatsura carried over well enough from olden times, but Ranma's gets a little more raunchy, and I don't really necessarily know how that's going to translate, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, this show translated very well. I had a lot of fun. Nothing really felt kind of like pale. I think it adjusted very well to modern time. I really like the ensemble cast and a lot of fun with it, and they like ended it with the like proper true ending from the movie, not the TV show, which was kind of a nice twist.
Oh, was it done?
It makes me, huh?
Is this it?
It's it. It's done.
Okay.
They adapted they didn't adapt all of Uresai because Uresai is like I forget how many episodes, but it's like a shit ton of episodes. It's like 195 episodes and 5 movies. So they took like the best bits of the show because like it's a pretty episodic show, and they just adapted that, minus the like few episodes that's like plot progression. But like, so they did the best bits and they wrapped it up. So that's the end of it. But yeah, I think they did a great job, and I'm gonna actually be very sad not to have any more Uresai. And maybe Ranma's gonna fill that gap up, but we'll see. Next is Windbreaker, which should have been in the other Power Hour.
We watched some of this. Okay, let's.
I did not realize you guys dropped.
Let's talk about our takeaways first before Tim returns, because there is a chance that we gave this show a bit of a tough time. I don't know. I still maintain all my criticism of the first couple of episodes. So I thought that this had a pretty good first episode. I liked the action. I thought the setup was fine. Episode 2 was awful. It was one of the worst episodes I've seen this season. It was incredibly slow. The dialogue was miserable to sit through, and I hated all the characters. Episode 3 was basically more of the same, and by the end of it, there was some promise of some intrigue with some gang fights of some of the like other gang members that were introduced, but that had not really done enough to make me like any of the characters that we have been introduced to, and the main character was also pretty flat. So I dropped the show because of and I know we make this joke a lot, but this felt like a watch a fight compilation on YouTube kind of show, and I just did not give a shit about anything else that was going on. I have no regrets, but I don't know. Tim can tell me if I made a bad decision or not, and I don't know if the others want to chime in on their feelings.
No, you pretty much got it.
I like I said, I hated episode 2. It was it made me drop my opinion of this show by I honestly am surprised it's this high. Maybe it did improve. I don't know.
Tell us, Tim.
I don't think episode 2 was that bad. What was even episode 2?
It was when he gets introduced to the whole class, and also he has his sidekick shows up, and I fucking hate that guy. Miserable character.
Oh, the notes guy?
Yeah.
I don't think he's a character really at all. He's kind of just the sidekick character.
Yeah,
who, like,
what a waste of time. Why put that character
has
in
the
your
notes
show?
that says fun factoids randomly to introduce the
Yeah,
characters.
he's annoying. And that's the worst sin an anime character can commit, is be annoying.
I don't think it was like drop level like quality.
I have different I will admit that I have different things that bother me when watching seasonal anime, and your mileage may vary. I think plenty of people could easily sit through this and think it was fine, but it just ticked enough of my buttons for me not to want to continue.
I did want to give it a chance, but like it just fell through the cracks. But no, Tim. So tell us about Windbreaker.
I didn't have any of those problems Chris had. For me, Windbreaker was, it knew what it was, and it didn't try to become anything more. It was just like, we're gonna have a bunch of guys punch each other, and through the punching, we're gonna learn more about each other. It's a very like simple, basic premise that doesn't try to add a bunch of let's just time travel, time loop 3 times and save my girlfriend from dying loop from that like Tokyo Revengers does kind of bullshit. It like knows what it is and does it very well. I think Chris probably dropped off right before it gets really good because it starts its own mini.
It's not just me. We both did. It was me and Juan.
Everybody.
I mean, not to the exact same degree as you.
Where it started right before the tournament arc, which like if you like episode 1, like the rest of the show, well, not the rest of the show, but like the next like 5 episodes is probably like just a fight tournament compilation, which is fun. And it does the the shonen thing where it's like, as we punch fists, we're gonna like learn about these characters and get to know them, which I guess like for this show is not like the worst thing, because like obviously if they're punching each other, everyone in this group is going to get bored and drop the show, so it's probably best to do that. It wasn't anything special. Like I said, it's just like Cloverwork guys punch each other and look cool, and that's really all I need from the show, and it delivered, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I guess no one else in this group felt the same.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I would have kept up with it if I had the time.
Did you like episode 1?
Yeah, I loved episode 1.
And you were just like weren't feeling it less than episode 2 and 3?
I felt it less than 2, and the end of 3, like it got me intrigued. I'm like, okay, I want to see where this goes. But then the others dropped it, and I'm like, all right, I'll watch it by myself, and then just never got around to it.
I really want you to watch it, the rest of it, before
by the end of the year. I'm gonna try.
Because I feel like you're gonna really like the tournament arc, because it had some of the best moments in it.
Yes.
I will say that the last like 2 episodes or something kind of like died down in hype for me, but that's just because they were setting up the second season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like as soon as the tournament arc ended, it was basically where they probably should have ended season 1, but instead it dragged on a bit longer to set up season 2, which I guess is fine because they announced season 2 like right afterwards. But like,
yeah, this is getting
it does get a
second core pretty quickly. So
yeah, for next year.
There you go. If you're a fan of the Windbreakers, still a bad name and still a bad poster, but not as bad as the soccer one.
The Blue Lock?
Yeah, the Blue Lock poster.
The Blue Lock piss one.
Stinkiest poster of all time.
Stinky gas.
All right. Thankfully, we have a good show to end on.
Yeah.
Because speaking of season 3, Yuru Camp is back, baby. With a new studio as well. Like Konosuba. And unlike Konosuba, this one did change the visual style quite a bit. And while I can't say that I prefer this art style, I think I still prefer the original. This show still looks great. All of the outdoor segments are beautiful. Camping is beautiful. The backgrounds are gorgeous. The music is great. Everything else you love about Yuru Camp is still there. Do not panic. It is okay.
Man, I wish camping was real.
Yeah. Me too.
I hate you guys.
I wish going outside was real for me in the fucking desert. I say that, but I do plan on going outside a lot when it gets colder outside. But
there is desert camping.
Oh no, Arizona's a great place to camp. It's just not for 6 months, and you have to wait until October, basically. And we're in the bad times right now.
Yeah, mid-July. Like, come on.
It is rough. Let me tell you what. But aside from that, yeah, this is a beloved cast of characters. These episodes covered some really fun like topics and areas they went to. I loved the suspension bridge episode. I thought that was great. Like it was nice that like we got a couple different groups kind of doing their own thing, and then we got a big one of everyone doing it together at the end. It's hard to like praise Yuru Camp because it's such a moment to moment comfy like experience based show. But it's really just the best in the industry at doing exactly what it does best. So if you need a nice break, I just think that this is the show that you're looking for.
I just love Yuru Camp so much. Like it to this day, it is still like in my like top 10 anime of all time, and like it just stays in that spot because it's just so nice and comfy.
It's very consistent. It helps that there really has not been a significant change in it. Like aside from this visual mix up in this season, it's basically extremely consistent quality the whole time.
Yeah.
Except for the movie, which I think was even better. I this also watching season 3
did you guys actually watch
we
the
watched the
movie?
movie. I was gonna say season 3 meant we actually went back and watched the movie, which I'm very glad we did because it was excellent. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
Yuru
Yuru
Camp
Camp.
is Yuru Camp. Like, if you like watching cute girls doing cute things in a very comfy manner, if you like watching shows underneath a blanket and with a hot chocolate in your hand, watch
then
Yuru
wait till it's cold outside again and then watch it.
or
yeah.
just blast the AC in your room and pretend.
Yeah, it's worth the cost. Get an industrial fan.
Well, not an
I don't
industrial
know
fan. It has
what
to be,
it
like, air
was
conditioning.
about this season, but like less of the scenes, like there's still a lot of scenes that like hit me with like the comfy vibes, but I feel like there were more scenes than usual that like didn't vibe with me as much. I don't know why.
Maybe it was the
exactly.
studio.
I don't think it was the art side. It was just like the story itself didn't really hish. Like I don't. Maybe it was like this. I don't know. I don't know why. Just some of the episodes just didn't vibe with me as much as like the other seasons did. But there was still definitely like episodes where I'm like, yes, this is like, you know, still peak everything I love Yuru Camp.
Yeah, this
But-
is what we came here for.
Still very great. I can't say place why exactly, but it does feel like this is like a half step down than normal Yuru Camp.
I would agree that I think I like this season slightly less than the last two, but I think that it was still pretty.
It's still phenomenal. It still holds up.
Yeah,
But
still
like I said,
consistent.
I just something about just like some of the bits just didn't hit me the same as like the rest of the series have.
It's because you're not in that comfy zone. You're
to get
you're
into the
not.
comfies.
You gotta
I'm always
be
in
in a
that
cold
comfy
room.
zone.
I agree that maybe Yuru Camp just hits better in winter, and they should stop airing it in the
Hey,
summer.
I'm living with Logan. It's always cold in here.
I'm jealous.
Fuck that.
My room never gets cold enough.
No,
Anyway,
that is my room.
Hey, you want to pay for half my AC?
and live
If,
there.
if only we could get it.
Get a big tube
Yeah.
I'll send it to you over
from Richardson to Plano or whatever.
Oh, we should beat that.
From
Don't fucking
Chi-
dox us,
from
Chris.
Chicago
Jesus.
to New York, baby.
So I'm gonna make a note for Chris to beep out the docs.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was
Logan's
all of the
address
anime.
is.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey,
was-
Chris's address is.
Yeah.
That was it for this season, baby. Like,
Yeah.
this was a pretty solid season, even though we dropped a
good.
lot of shows.
A lot of top end, like
Yeah, it's a very like top heavy season.
a lot of good sequels, and also like just very great new shows as well.
All right.
Top
3
Do we
recommended?
want to do top 3?
Yeah, let's do top 3.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Do we want to ban Dungeon Meshi to be interesting?
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
ban
well,
Dungeon
we
Meshi.
go, yeah, universal praise for Dungeon Meshi. So besides that,
Yeah. Besides Dungeon Meshi, what are your top 3?
All right, Chris, want to start
It's
off?
Juan.
I
one,
started
okay.
off, yeah, because left to right. So for me, besides Dungeon Meshi, Hibike Euphonium Season 3, Girls Band Cry, and Sentai Daishikaku. Man, I fucking love Sentai Daishikaku.
For me, it's definitely gonna be Girls Band Cry, Hibike Euphonium, and then I'm gonna say Shuumatsu Train. Definitely my easy top 3. Not ordered. I think Hibike was probably the best of those 3, and I don't really feel like ranking anything else.
Logan.
I'm in no particular order. I'm gonna say Girls Band Cry. What is it called? Shuumatsu Train, and then this is kind of the hard one. I'm gonna go with Konosuba as my third.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be lame, and I'm gonna say Hibike, Mushoku, and Konosuba.
Just the whole sequel suite.
All the sequels. I'm gonna even say all the
That
sequels.
is a little lame.
I'm surprised none of us said kaiju.
I'm a little surprised you
I
said
thought about
Kaiju.
it.
Kaiju is my favorite of the shonens. I just between it and Sentai Daishikaku.
Kaiju's probably my favorite of the new shows. If we were including sequels, Kaiju would be on there easily.
But I just like the other ones better than it. So
you know,
it's,
I mean,
it's probably
Kaiju's
my
like my
number
number
4. Yeah, it's my number 4 as well. Honorable mention.
it's I
Or I guess it'd be technically
probably
number 5 because of Dungeon
camp
Meshi.
over. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
I guess I technically put Yuru Camp over it too. Well, we don't have to quantify this that hard. Either way, all right. Those are our takes for spring 2024. Next time will be our mid-season check-in for summer. We're gonna start watching these shows. Most of us already have started watching these shows. And then you get to hear about how Logan feels about anime Joker. So tune in.
I'm so excited.
Tune in.
I'm
That's
not
his.
really all that
It's
excited.
his Discord profile, so he's at least a little bit excited. Should we make a
Where'd you
custom
get that
avatar
picture
of your guy, your nut bar
Sigurd
podcast
with
guy
Joker
with Joker
makeup?
makeup? I think we could work something out. Anyway,
I'd be
if
into
you want to
that.
edit that, go
all
for
right.
it.
We will see y'all next time.
Later.